We've talked a lot about building up from existing foundations, family, culture, society, picking up from where they left off, contributing to statutes pre existing. Well, guys, I am here with a new perspective, a bolder one, if I may say. Um, so instead of building up from those foundations, these pre-existing foundations, how about like tearing them down and rebuilding them? How about starting from scratch, building your own foundation, your own beliefs, your own way of life? How about thinking for yourself? I'm here today, honestly. This whole conversation today is to tell you guys you have to start thinking for yourself. And I don't even mean that in the sense of a career path or a home location or just like everyday like decisions. I mean deeper things like foundational things. Taking everything you grew up believing to be true, everything that is not a law, not a fact, not proven to be concrete. The things that nobody ever told you were optional. And you want to know why? Why like the same person who has been telling you to honor your culture, build up from your culture, build up from your family, move your legacy forward. Why am I telling you guys this now? Well, because for the majority of our lives, we base our worldviews and beliefs from, we get them from our parents, our culture, our society, our environments, places we live in. And from them, from these institutions, we learn what is right, what is wrong, how people are to behave, how the world works, what God is, like what family means. They come like facts, like absolute truths, like things that are unquestionable. And when you're younger, like you don't know to question it. It doesn't occur to you to be like, oh, why is this way, or why are things like this? Like you just usually just like take it as it's coming. You learn, you absorb, you believe what they believe. It becomes like the ground you stand on. It becomes your reality. And then maybe one day something happens. One day something happens. Whereas if you're really like thinking, if you're an explorative person, if you're a curious person, one day something will happen and your reality will shift. You have experiences, you start to learn more about other things. Like you realize that these structures and beliefs were built and spread by humans who are flawed. You hear something, you see something, someone you love expresses a belief that shakes, actually completely changes the way you thought they saw the world. And then it all becomes clear to you. A simple yet deeply unsettling revelation that your world has not been built on anything concrete. It has not been built on truth. It has been built around other people's experiences and what they believe to be true. And the difference between those things like change everything. The difference between truth and what you believe to be true, those are two completely different things. Because if the foundation of your life was built on beliefs that belong to someone else, then at some point you have to ask yourself, like, what do I actually believe? Not what my parents believe, not what my culture believes, not what my religion tells me I should believe. Like, what do I believe? What is truth to me? What is my reality? How do I see the world? Like, recently, I had a conversation that forced me to confront this question in a very real way. It brought me down to ground zero, literally, like processing it, coming out of it. I realized that I was starting from scratch. I was at ground zero. And that was scary. It is still kind of scary. It was painful to go through because I felt like I'd been stripped of what I'd managed to build of an identity, like what I was trying to, how I started to see myself, the identity I was forming. It all felt like, it was gone. Like I was nothing, literally nothing. But like at the same time, feeling like that, feeling like, I don't know, like a clean slate. It gave me a clean slate, and that was freeing. That felt like freedom. Like it is now in my power to establish who I am based off of what I know, like not based on anything like pre-existing. Obviously, something's pre-existing can come with me. Like we will not throw the needful things away, but like I am now the one who decides what I believe to be true, and not just based off of like wanting, based off of like knowing, understanding, learning. Like I am the one who has the power now to define my reality. So that's what today's episode is about: cracking down foundations to build your own mind. It's just another step to being your own person. So, y'all, I'm Frida, and welcome back to another episode of the Frida Says What podcast. So, how have you guys been doing? Um, Hope you guys liked the last episode because we're kind of entering a new chapter after that. Um, like I said before, a lot of the things I said before on previous episodes has been about like building identity from pre-existing things, your family, society, all that stuff. I've already said all of that. And like I've come to a point like where I'm at in my life is where like I get the value behind all those things, but I am now seeing the importance in like looking at all the things that have been foundational to us and questioning them, asking ourselves, like, just putting it to the test. Like, it's like, if it's so true, then like, I can like, I can ask questions. I can find out for myself, like, if this is something I actually believe or not. The whole point of today's episode is kind of like to raise awareness for people to start thinking for themselves, to start questioning beliefs that they inherited. Like I said, what made me go on this path was a really hard conversation that I had. It was really, really hard. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the conversation. I wish it was something I could share, but I can't. But coming out from that conversation, it took me months to really like process the magnitude, like the is it magnanimity? Yeah, please know what I mean. Like just it was so huge the impact it had on my psyche, that conversation with this person that I held in high regard, that I realized that I had seen as an authority figure in my life, in the sense of like what they say, I would usually just believe to be correct. I also started to realize that like, bro, if someone that like you thought, if someone I assumed or subconsciously thought was an authority in my life could say something to me that my body would deeply reject, because of like of how directly what he said affected me. It's like, oh, okay, what else have I just easily absorbed? What else have I just easily taken from him or taken from people in my life, people who are like people who have made me who I am? What have I just easily taken from them and absorbed and thought to be facts, just merely for the fact that they said so, merely for the fact that they believed it? And I realized that like I had to go after everything that felt like foundational. Anything that was not based on like anything that was not a law, anything like literally if it's not giving like law of gravity, like it is questionable. And for me, you guys all know me, I've talked about how religion was such a big part of my growing up, how it has been a big part of my life, how I grapple with this. I've literally told you, like, I don't even believe I can move, or like I feel like religion is good for me. And I think now looking back, I think what I was trying to say was a relationship with God is what is good for me, not necessarily like religion as a whole. But notwithstanding that, all the nuances of that, like I have decided to question my religion because a lot of it, like, there's a lot of misinterpretation everywhere. Nobody really has heard anything from the horse's mouth. Literally, even Jesus Christ is is literally the only one who will tell you that he has seen the face of God to now come and tell you all the things that God said you should and cannot do. And whatever it is, anyways, that religion is being like perpetrated and was being like shared and like pushed by human beings who I believe are flawed. The church as an institution is like um run by humans who I believe are flawed, who have bias, you know. So it's like I want to go for all the texts. I'm doing research on all the. I'm actually even reading the Catechism of the Church and all of that stuff. I don't want to get too much. I'm just telling you like where like this quest for my own mind or thinking for myself has taken me, because religion is such a big thing in so many people's lives. It's such a big thing in my life as well. And I want to finally put it to bed as to whether or not like it is for me or it is not. And not necessarily for me as per something I want to practice. Mostly like, do I actually believe all of this? Do I believe like this idea of God being given to me? I believe that there is a God, but like, do I believe like in this particular essence of Him? Is it something I want to stick with, or if it's something I want to go away from? Because like everything I know, everything I practice, I inherited it. It is not my own. I feel like people converts, like adult converts are probably the ones who have better relationships, like or better like approaches to religion, honestly. But that's on the side note, religion is what I'm conquering. For you, it could be like, because like other examples of inherited beliefs are like, politics, gender roles, cultural beliefs, ideas of success and morality. Let me not even get started on morality, because morality is like the spectrum is so relative to where you are in the world. So it's funny how people have like this like stand, like things that they stand on us, but what is moral and what is immoral, like how people look, how people dress, what they decide to do with their bodies, like just always an interesting that one is just honestly just something I don't even want to get into right now. But I was to question it. Politics will have to be the funniest one, because like politics I've just always seen as a politics. Like when I decide to question politics, I'm literally going to take a very like funny approach to it, because the whole idea of politicking and politics is just such a draining thing. Like it's just a group of people who want to be right, so they go about like making their case to be right for whatever reason. That's just like that's not necessarily what is in its entirety, but like that's the part of it. That's the part of it that just really like confuses me the most. But those are ideas of inherited beliefs, like whatever it is that you believe that you inherited from your parents. My parents are conservative. I shared that off pretty early. I'm not a conservative person, but like it's like also the liberal views I was starting to take is like I need to also question whether or not I also believe that those things are true. And I think other people should. I feel like we should all question all of this and kind of make choices for ourselves. And even if you want to pick a side, like pick a side that's works best, or work based on all the things that you've seen, based on all the things that you understand, like which one you agree with the most, then you can actually just like pick your side. This idea of deconstruction, um, it's like I used to believe that you should build up on what you inherited. But now I see that you don't just build up of what you inherited, you kind of like have to deconstruct it, understand it, and then piece it together, rebuild it in a way that like every time I say that kind of like suits what you know. It's like some people you don't you keep making adjustments the more you know. Like the only thing that makes any of this relevant is that you keep trying to know things, you keep trying to understand things, you keep like you read vast, you read wide, you learn. It's the only way that like you picking your side or you deconstructing and trying to understand. It's the only way that your rebuilding will make sense if you're actually rebuilding based on things that are things that are true, things that are proven, like things that make sense, like literally things that actually like make sense, not like nonsensical, not rebuilding based on like whims and just like being irrational. Um, Sometimes, like I said, just to reiterate, you have to take the foundational parts and then rebuild it for yourself. If you're good with the way things are, if after you've questioned it and everything, you see the merits in it, then by all means, like go ahead and live your life. Like so long as like you know for certain, so long as like you're choosing that for yourself. The model I want to introduce that I kind of want to get into to help us like help us with deconstruction and reconstruction is first principle thinking. First principle thinking is a mental model, and just in simple terms, it means breaking down something to its most basic truth and then rebuilding from there. This is just literally like what they teach us in secondary school. It's like finding the atom of things and like working your way up to matter, to elements, to all of that stuff. And we usually use it like first person thinking is usually popular for solving like engineering problems or business problems. Elon Musk is one of the like most famous user. Like this is one of the he's like literally like the face of first principle thinking in our 21st century right now. But it's like what I was when I started learning about it sometime last year. I think it was like December last year. I started to think like why not even like apply that first principle thinking to yourself. At the time, I was thinking about it mostly for like, finding out why you're the way you are, why you do the things you do, asking yourself. There's this thing they call Socrates. This thing they call the five whys. By the time you ask yourself why 5 times, you kind of like get to the bottom of. You kind of get to the root issue. If you need to go 6 times, you go 6 times. But the point is like the more you ask yourself why, you kind of like start to see you get to the bottom of what is actually happening or the reason why you're actually like the reasons why you're actually like doing the things that you do. But now I want to apply it to beliefs and like the questions I think that we should be asking ourselves for anything that we believe in, anything that is not necessarily based on facts is, why do I believe this? Who taught me this? Is this actually true? What is the counter argument? What do people have to say against this? And like what would I believe if I started from zero? What would I believe if I had these two options? Which one sounds more plausible to me based on all the things that I know, based on all the things that I understand, all the information I have right now? Which one makes more sense? You kind of like start to pick and choose like your world, like you build your world for yourself. You kind of like start to make sense of the world for yourself from there. Um, because another thing you need to know is that like with first person thinking, like you're not necessarily looking for absolute truths. Um, those things are hard to come by. So like um knowledge can only be built when we are actively trying to falsify it. Even as I question religion, like I'm coming at it from a standpoint of someone who wants to prove it wrong, who wants to. I'm actually writing a book. I'm not going to get into it too much, but it's like I begin to understand, like coming from it from a standpoint of trying to prove like the faith wrong, trying to prove the religion wrong. I am now met with like explanations. It's like, okay, if this was something I thought was wrong, you have a convincing argument, I can agree. If my argument surpasses yours, then I don't agree. You just keep going like that, trying to falsify, then you prove. Is either you prove or disprove, just like how we do like scientific processes, like we learn if you're a science student in secondary school. Um, and to also know that like it is not a fixed thing. Your beliefs, I don't think that beliefs should be a fixed thing. Your understanding of your first principles, your understanding of your beliefs evolve as you gain more knowledge. As you get to know, as you have more life experiences, you begin to understand things better. You can then like make different choices and be like just the whole point of all of this is that you get to think for yourself. Is that like you get to question everything, you get to make your own choices, you get to choose what stays with you and what you let go of. You don't just get to be like, oh, this is how things have always been, or this is what they told me to believe, yada yada yada. So therefore, I will believe. I know it's hard to look in the face of everything that you know, and then like kind of like question it. When I had to do that, like I would literally tell my friends, like I would lament to my friends. I even cried. I was like, my whole life, like everything I've understood about myself is a lie. Like it's literally a lie. The fact that I have to sit down here and go through all this work and read all these things just to kind of like have my own ideologies, have my own beliefs, make up my mind for myself. It is a stressful process. It will take months, it will take years. But the point is that like with everything you learn every day, with everything that you understand every day, you tweak, you tweak. you re-understand, you rebuild, and build yourself up from ground zero. I'll be so real. Like there's nothing. I used to complain about like the word nothing or feeling nothing, but there's nothing as like freeing and as like actually as I don't know exciting as knowing that you are starting from ground zero. That's why you have a clean slate, especially when it's not something that has to do with money. Especially it's not that you're poor, especially just that like oh you are trying to like just understand and have your own way of life. It's like you're so open to anything and everything, but not just in a foolish way. In a way that's like, okay, if I hear this, I want to go and find out more about this. I want to make up my own mind about this. You make up your mind. When you talk about this, you're more confident, you're more sure, you are establishing yourself as a person, establishing yourself as a thinker, which I think is really valuable and people really underestimate in this day and age. Yeah. I will literally like honestly, let me never get into it too much. Like I'm getting excited just talking about it because I'm thinking about like all the things I'm going to destroy and like reform just for the sheer thought of like everything I thought I knew has been gone. Has gone, I mean, has gone. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So like for ways that you can questions you can I've told you questions you can ask about your beliefs. I also give you like some other I don't know if I mentioned the five whys. You ask yourself repeatedly for every question, for everything or anything you believe, or you can ask yourself why. Like, why do you believe this? It can be applied to many, many things. It's like if you have a problem, or if you do something, you ask yourself, why did I do this? Because of this. Why do you feel that way? Because of this. And then like, why? Until you kind of like get to the bottom of you kind of make yourself work your way to the bottom of like the issue, get to the roots of the issue, and then like just like to understand yourself more and build yourself up from there. Not necessarily about belief share, but it's just like another way to practice first principle thinking. There's also something called Socratic questioning, which can be used to establish first principles through stringent analysis. I'll just read out the questions for you. Take it down. You clarify your thinking. And the first step is to clarify your thinking and explain the origin of your idea, which is to ask your questions like ask yourself the questions, why do I think this? And what exactly do I think about this? The next thing you do is to challenge assumptions. You ask yourself, how do I know this is true? What if I thought the opposite of this? That's when I said counter you find counter arguments. The next thing you do is to look for evidence, which is the most important thing, which is probably where people stop. Like, look for evidence. How can I back this up? What are the sources? What are the people that say this is true? Like, who are the people that say this is true? Um, where did they get their sources from? Are they valid? Have they been proven? Have they been tested? If it's like a theory thing, or if it's just like a school of thought, it's like how valid is that school of thought? If it is something way back, how valid is that in today's time? Like that kind of thing. Just go and do research, go and understand. And you consider alternative perspectives. That's the next step. It's like, what might others think? How do I know I'm correct? And then you examine consequences and implications. Like, what if I'm wrong? What are the consequences if I am? I feel like this is important. This is very, very important. Asking yourself, what if I'm wrong and what are the consequences? I feel like that will make you know the stakes for you to keep dwelling in your belief. If, like, the consequences of you being wrong are dire, you need to really go and find out what the hell is going on, or you need to go and find out the roots of that thing. Like, if you believe it to be right, what are the consequences for you? Is it good? Are the consequences are there good consequences or bad consequences? There will always be consequences for anything. Like, you should probably find out like which one you're willing to risk, something like that. And then you question the original questions finally, like, so why did I think that? Was I correct? And what conclusions can I draw from this reasoning process? So like that is where you find your own thinking. It's like that's where you kind of like see the process that you took to get there. It's like, why did I think that? And if I'm not correct now, why did I think I was correct before? And it's like, okay, what conclusions do I draw? That's now you establishing yourself as like you have thought for yourself, you have come to a conclusion. This is what you know. You have passed all due process. When you are asked, when you practice, when you do what you do, it's like I'm doing what I do intentionally because I know for a fact that. Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense? Is that making sense? I hope I'm actually passing um my points across because I'm really deep in this right now. This is literally my life right now. I am literally deconstructing everything. It's not like religion is the one I'm being systematic about, but literally everything I hear, I have to fact check. I have to understand. I need to know for a fact that this is correct, because I don't want any situation where like I am living off of someone else's assumptions. I have been devastated from the fact that like the things I have known and the things that like I have known to be true are not, or like the way like the people that I love and I care about and I look up to are saying things that are not true, and I've built my life around them and I don't want to be in that situation anymore. So it's like, yeah, this is like the reality I'm living in right now. And I don't know, like it happens, I think it happens to everyone at some point. Like I hope it happens to you in the sense of like I hope you get to kind of like think for yourself. I hope you kind of get to establish your own identity in a way, or in ways where like you are at the forefront, you are the fuel, you are the one who knows, as opposed to just like collecting things from people. Like even if like you went out of your way and you researched and they were still right, at least like when you're joining the crowd or when you're agreeing with your inherited beliefs, like you know for a fact that like yes, you can stand on that shit. All of this is also just like looking for something to stand on, man. Like essentially, like I'm always on a quest to looking for something. I'm always on a quest to find something to stand on, and like this seems like the surest route to get there. So I want to encourage people. I want to encourage you, like think about it, like what beliefs did you inherit? Have you ever examined them? Have you ever thought about them? Have you ever questioned anything in the way that I question God, which is very brave of me, knowing that like literally like the whole point of my religion is like you do not question God. There are consequences for that. I was like, do all the things that you believe in, like all your beliefs, do they belong to you? Are they a result of someone else? I feel like we shall hit on this sometime along the line of this podcast, but like I am hammering it down now. Like, do the things that you believe, do they actually belong to you? Or are they a result of someone else's beliefs? On the Freedom Says What section today, I'm just here to tell you guys that you are allowed to build your own mind. You're allowed to think for yourself. You're allowed to like have your own thoughts, act on them. You're allowed to go out and also have experiences, because I learned that like you don't change your beliefs by sitting at home. You go outside and have experiences that then change your beliefs. Like you can't like just sit down around. You need to go and test waters, go and find out like the other side of things, so that you can know for certain. It's going to make you more confident. Like you will become your own person. I think like out of all the things I've said, this has to be the surest way to live as your own person, because like when your beliefs really like define your life, they define your values, they define your morals, they define how you show up in life, whether or not you're literally like a wishy-washy person or like you're actually like a grounded, sure person. Like knowledge, world building, creating your own worldview, building your own reality. Like it is very, very, very important in the becoming of your own person. And like literally like with everything I've said, I know I've kind of like shit. I don't know if I've shit on like all like my previous episodes, or if I'm still like resounding the same bell. But I think like growing up and growing into your own person isn't just about accepting the world. Isn't You can accept the world, yeah, accept reality for what it is, yeah. But it's also about understanding it deeply enough to decide what you keep and what you rebuild. The only way to know what you keep is by really knowing. Like the only way to like decide, make that decision to be like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Is to go and like actually go and find out what is good for you and what is not okay for you in the long run. Um, this is not a rejection of a family. This is not necessarily a rejection of religion. This is not a rejection of culture. This is not a rejection of tradition. And this is not to say that I have figured anything out. I just want to encourage you to think. I want to encourage you to learn. I want to encourage you to rebuild. If I were to just drop a one line, I mean, like start from the ground up, man. Like get to ground zero and build yourself up back from there. Build your ideals up from there. Like build your world from there. Yeah. So that's all I have to say. I hope I was coherent. I hope you guys got my message. Thank you for listening. I know that the format of the podcast keeps changing with every episode. I've gotten like comments about that, but like I am an evolving person. I am evolving. My thoughts are evolving. Who the fuck knows what I'm going to talk about on the on the next episode? Like fuck, I don't know. Actually, I just found myself here by chance. But thank you guys for riding with me. Thank you guys for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I kind of enjoyed talking, if you can tell. Like I'm so excited, I'm so animated, like I'm so passionate about this. We'll see where this leads. If it becomes a thing where I kind of like share my journey with you guys, I am, like I said, writing a book. Title undisclosed for now because it literally sounds like a New York Times bestseller, and I want to like hold on to that for a little bit. But like, it is going to systematically like question religion, as I know religion in its practice, not necessarily because as I read, I realize that like religion is fine on theory, but like in practice, it's just a whole completely like different ballgame. But yeah, that's on that. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if maybe the next couple of episodes kind of like center around that. But like I said, you never really know what we'll talk about on the next episode. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for riding with me. Love you guys and see you on the next one.